Sam my dude, Saiyan Salamander here, and welcome to our Choose Your Legends 5 Battle Ballot and Wishlist video. I'm going to be talking about all the characters I picked in Choose Your Legends this year, and how I'd make their Brave ults. This video wouldn't have been the same without Kuraza, who I commissioned to design all the Brave ult ideas I had. So definitely go check them out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, as all of their links will be in the description below. I'll show off my Battle Ballot at the end of the video, so for now let's just look at every character individually, so I can show off their design, skills and stats. The first hero on my top 5 wish list is actually one that I never ended up voting for this time around, since I ended up focusing all my votes on my number 1 character on this list after I saw the interim results. My number 5 most wanted Brave character is the Dream of Nifl, Gunthrower. Gunthrower was actually pretty difficult to come up with a concept for, since I didn't realise my original weapon idea was already taken by Veronica's preferred weapon, Ale Vega. In Norse mythology, Ale Vega is one of the 11 rivers that existed in the beginning of the world, and is also known as the Icy River, so I figured it suited her well. But since it was already taken, I decided to give her the Bifrost. It's already a staff in Fates, but since it really wasn't used by any main character, and it isn't in Feh yet, let's just forget about that version of the weapon and talk about the tome version I gave her. I haven't mentioned this just yet, but Gunthrower's a blue mage flyer, with a Brave rendition, and her Bifrost gives her 4 HP and 2 resistance. And as long as Gunthrower's res is the highest on her team, then this unit and all allies can teleport to each other from up to 3 spaces away. And to top things off, as long as Gunthrower's health is 50% or over, then the foe deals damage against Gunthrower against her resistance instead of her defense, making her one hell of a tanky unit. For her skills, I gave her Fortress Res 3, a new skill that grants Gunthrower plus 8 resistance and even negates any effective against damage, though it does lower her attack by -2. I'd say the trade-off is pretty worth it. As for a ballot winning skill, I gave her a B-slot skill called Silent Knight, which effectively is Guard combined with lull attack speed res 5. She's also got speed res terrain 3, which just keeps adding those penalties to the enemy. Maybe if I ever got round to making refines for these characters, I'll give her an effect similar to her original weapon, since she could definitely deal a bunch of bonus damage with all the penalties she's putting out. Her stats are also really good, and while her defense definitely suffers being one of the lowest in the game, with how good the rest of her stats are, the trade-off is most definitely worth it. She's basically a big snowball of stats, and with the way her weapon works, as long as her HP is equal or above 50%, her defense stat is virtually meaningless anyway, unless she's up against a unit like Felicia or a dragon unit. For the design, Kuraza did an amazing with it, turning the first princess of Nifl into the queen of the country, and she looks a lot more regal now, instead of the more priestessy appearance that she had with her original ult. Unfortunately, Gunthrower didn't manage to make the top 20 of Choose Your Legends this time around, but I'm hoping that in some time in the future she'll get a Brave ult that's as good as this one, in combat and in design too. Next up on my top 5 wish list is the blushing brave Olivia. I voted for her on day 4 before the interim results got released, and unfortunately she didn't manage to make the top 20 during the midterm results this time around. Plus she's been placing lower every year. She placed 48th in year 1, 94th in year 2, 101st in year 3, and last year Olivia only placed 140th. So I'm really hoping that this year she can increase in the rankings a bit more. And who knows, maybe after the other popular Awakening characters get a W, people will start moving their votes over to her. For a design, it's got a very Roman Greek feel to it, basing off of the Roman goddess of love, Venus, or the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite. And Kuraza really killed it with the design here. It's been quite a while since Olivia's last ult, so I'd love for her to get another one like this really soon. She's already appeared as an infantry sword unit, a flying sword unit, and an infantry dagger unit, so this time around I decided to make her an infantry lance unit, with her weapon Halberd of Venus. It grants +2 attack and speed to the unit, just for equipping this weapon. It also has a Spectrum joint drive skill, which grants +3 to Olivia and all allies within 2 spaces. Sup, Connor Salamander here, and yeah, just doing some post-editing because I realised even though Joint Spectrum Drive is a really good skill, I kinda power crept Olivia in my own video already, so let's just change the effect slightly. So instead of +3 to Olivia and all allies within 2 spaces, she gets +6 to all of her stats and to all allies within 2 spaces. Might be a bit too good, but I'm pretty sure there's some units that get a drive effect with like +5 to all stats and to allies, with like Feh and some other characters maybe. So it should be fine. I just realised I buffed it a bit too much with the next character, so I thought, you know, rather than nerfing her, I'm just gonna buff Olivia. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the video, my dudes. And even allows Olivia to teleport to any ally that's already made an action. And I don't think you could ask for a better skill for a dancer. The base kit I gave her is probably one of the best on this list. Not only does she have distant counter, but she has 2 brand new tier 4 skills too. She's got Firestorm Dance 3, which grants attack speed +7 and special cooldown -1 to the ally that she dances, which is a great improvement to the original skill. She's also got Joint Infantry Flash, another skill that I don't see you get used very often, but I think adding the joint effect makes it a really fantastic skill for the infantry emblem teams. Even if you don't use Olivia, she makes for a fantastic fodder unit with all these skills that she offers. Finally, for exclusive skill, I had to make it a dance skill, with her being a dancer and all, which is why I created the assist skill, Goddess Dance. It grants another action to their ally, but also grants the Kanto effect to Olivia and the targeted ally. I was considering giving it to allies within 2 spaces too, but I'm not sure if that's a bit too broken or not. It's really handy though, because it means Olivia can dance her ally and then escape from harm, or break right into enemy lines after dancing her allies. I know I'm probably making all these units a bit too good, but come on, they're Brave units. They're always a little busted when they first come out. Overall, I think our first Brave Dancer is definitely one of the best in the game. And as she's one of my favourite characters, and by far one of my favourite dancers, I probably showed a bit of favouritism when Theorycrafting her Brave ult. Moving on to the top 3 here, and all of them are fairly close to getting Brave ults, with all of my top 3 most wanted characters managed to take a spot amongst the top 20 female characters in the interim results this time around. So let's hope that they all get a Brave ult soon. The first character I'll be talked about is the Fairy Queen, Plumeria. After Freya's reign came to an end, for this Brave ult, I decided to give the mantle of Fairy Queen to Plumeria, who managed to unite the realms of dreams and nightmares after the war that occurred in Book 4. Kuraza managed to show the unification between the 2 realms perfectly, with Plumeria's new designs giving her wings from the Logicifamea and the Doclafama. I am sorry, I cannot pronounce those names. She's also definitely keeps the Lou Dream aspect of her character with this design, and it looks great. Being a fairy of course, she kept her flying movement type, but I also made her a staff unit with Freya's staff. She never used it in the game since she's considered a beast unit, so it didn't really have a name or anything. So I named it myself. I'm calling it Yggdrasil's Branch. Grants Plumeria +3 speed, Wrathful Staff 3, and grants attack, speed, defense, res +3 to unit and all allies within 5 rows and 3 columns centered on the unit during combat. Since Freya's speed was her main aspect, I decided to do a 180 on Plumeria. It's not in the game just yet, but I'm giving Plumeria attack speed unity to start off with. She's got a Dazzling Staff 3 and Speed Res Rain 3, making her base kit pretty stacked if you ask me. Like Olivia, her exclusive skill is a new dance skill, known as Queen's Dream. Not only is she the first ever staff dancer in the game, but she's got some cool effects added alongside it too. It grants another action to the ally, restores HP equal 50% of the unit's attack, and inflicts attack speed defense res -4 on the nearest foes within 4 spaces of the target ally through the foe's next actions. While I just mentioned Olivia being one of the best dancers in the game, I think Plumeria can definitely hold a candle to her too, while also holding the title of one of, or if not the best healer in the game too. The stats aren't amazing being a flying dancer and all, but she can definitely still pack a double punch with her base kit, while also granting some cool support effects to her allies so that they can fight for their queen. Next up is my second favourite unit in the entire series, who's managed to gain the highest amount of votes from the characters in my top 5 Brave wishlist this year, and that unit is the slothful successor, Hilda. Now her weapon type is pretty interesting, as it's not one that's currently in Feh, but I'm really hoping it gets added soon. It's actually my favourite weapon in the entire series too, and that is the Gauntlets weapons. I'll be explaining what all the Gauntlets do and some other weapon types that I've theorycrafted in another video in February, but for now, let's just explain Hilda's variation. Before we even get to the base weapon effect, Gauntlets have an inbuilt Brave effect, as they do in 3 houses, making you able to attack twice. They're a little weaker than most weapons, but they don't get that annoying speed penalty that Brave weapons usually have. And as for the base weapon, she's got an inbuilt enemy phase Brave effect to match her Gauntlets effects, so whether it's player phase or enemy phase, she hits twice. And with her speed, she's probably going to smack up the foes 4 times instead. To end things off, she's also got Special Fighter built into her weapon, which is amazing for an armoured unit like her, since her exclusive skill is a B-slot skill, meaning that she can have the skill and a fighter skill equipped at the same time. For the rest of her skills, she's got Rally Attack Speed Plus, Swift Impact, and 2 brand new skills, with one of them being exclusive to her. Her exclusive skill is known as Sloth Sin, which makes her foes just as lazy as Hilda. It inflicts gravity and patience on foes within 2 spaces at the start of her turn. Patience is a new condition that acts as a reverse desperation, kinda like Ike's Irvon. So the unit attacks twice before the foe can attack. And while it works wonder for Irvon with Ike's damage reduction skill, it won't work nearly as well for most foes that Hilda comes up against. The other skill is a skill from Awakening, which I'm surprised hasn't been added into the game yet. And that's her C-slot skill, Slow Burn 3. At the start of the turn 1, Hilda gains +1 to all of her stats and heals herself for 3 HP. Then every turn from that point, she gets an additional +1 to all her stats and heals herself for an extra +3 HP, capping out at turn 7 where she boosts all of her stats by 7 and increases her HP by 21. It's a great skill that makes her stronger the longer the battle goes on, and as it can be tough to motivate her, I think it's the perfect skill for Hilda. Though I can see a lot of people equipping Threat and Attack Speed 3 on her instead, since it combos insanely well with her exclusive B-slot skill. Enough about her stats though, let's talk about Hilda's Brave design that Kuraza created for a bit. It's based on the Grappler class from Three Houses, which is a class that usually female characters don't have access to, which is a shame since there isn't a single class they have access to that have Gauntlets as a preferred weapon. So she keeps to her original timeskip design too, while making it clear that she represents the Golden Deer, sporting that amazing Golden Deer ornament on her shoulder. She's even got a really cute antler hair clip, which is a really nice touch. She's even got the Gonrail family crest on her cape next to her shoulder. Honestly, I think out of all the designs Kuraza made for this video, Hilda's gotta be my favourite out of 5, and I definitely want to see her playable in the game like this someday. Finally, my most wanted Brave character in Feh, and the girl I voted for the most in Choose Your Legends 5, and that is Brave Adult Tiki. I voted for her on the first day of the ballot of course, but after seeing her make the top 20, I voted for her during the last 3 days of the event too. I know voting for Hilda probably would have made more sense since she was a lot higher on the list, but it's been far too long since we've had an Adult Tiki out in Feh. In fact, she hasn't had one at all since the first summer banner in year 1 of the game. So I'm hoping the more votes she gets this time around, the more IS will consider her getting another ult in the future. Even if she doesn't win the battle this time around, so I'm hoping to see a great ult from her, or and a Resplendent too in 2021. The concept for her design is a fusion between Adult Tiki's original appearance, as well as the legendary Flameworm from Dragalia Lost, Mim. Young Tiki and Mim become super close during the Fire Emblem crossover with Dragalia Lost last year, so I thought it'd be cute to take some of the influence from her design on Tiki's Brave ult. You can see Mim's influence on the armour, the colour scheme, and even in her weapon. It's like a combination between Falchion and a weapon available from one of Mim's high dragon trials in Dragalia Lost, the sword Absolute Crimson. I made Tiki a flying sword unit in Feh, since she's still a Manakete, so she can fly with her dragon wings like young Summer Tiki. And she doesn't need to rely on a Pegasus or a Wyvern to help her fly. Like I said, her weapon's a fusion between Absolute Crimson and a Falchion, so decide to name the weapon Crimson Falchion. It grants Tiki with +3 attack, neutralizes foes effective against dragon bonuses, and of course is still effective against dragons. Since Tiki is still a Manakete though, it also treats her as a dragon, so dragon effective weapons are effective against her, but it also means units can transform next to her, and she still receives allies Goad, Fortify, and other dragon buffs. Finally, Tiki has a damage reduction skill in her weapon, much like Spurn, and it activates as long as Tiki's attack is higher than the foes, and reduces more damage depending on how much of a difference there is between the two stats. Moving on to Tiki's skills, she's got Dragon Fang, Lull Attack Defense 3, and Attack Defense Rain 3 too. For her exclusive skill, much like Brave Hector with his Ostian counter, Tiki got a new counter skill, Naga's Counter. It's effectively distant counter combined with Dragon's Ire, which is fantastic on a slow unit like Tiki. Especially since she can't equip the skill herself, as even if she's treated as a dragon on the battlefield, you can always unequip the weapon, so she can't actually inherit those skills usually herself. Her design, skills, and weapon are already amazing, but so are her stats. Like usual, she lacks in speed, and I mean really lacks in speed this time, as I effectively dropped the stat completely to focus on her other skills. But with how high her other stats are, and with Naga's counter skill, I think it's a very good trade-off. This makes Tiki an incredible enemy phase tank, and an interesting addition to Dragon Emblem teams, being a pseudo-dragon who can attack foes on the physical side even if they're not a ranged enemy. Thanks for watching the video, my dudes, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment on who you voted for in Choose Your Legends 5. And tell me which of the Brave ults I Theorycrafted was your favourite. As promised, here's my battle ballot this time around. I wish I could get my old battle ballots up too, but for some reason the site doesn't work for a couple of the years, which is a shame. If you want to show me your battle ballot, then definitely join the Discord in the description, and post yours in the Gacha channel. It's not often I get to make videos featuring this much cool art, but I'm definitely hoping I can do more of it in the future, and I have a ton of ideas lined up. Please make sure to check out Kuraza over on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They did the artwork for all 5 characters featured in this video, so definitely go drop them a follow and like all of the posts they made for these characters. That's all for now, so I'll see you in the next video, my dudes. Until next time, bye!